Are you looking for a cool gift for your grandchildren that will not get broken? Fall victim to being a fad gift? Of course you are. Be the coolest grandpa ever. Narrate a children's ebook in your own voice and send it to your grandchild. They will be able to read along on their tablet or mobile device as the story comes to life with the sound of your own voice. Recording a book on makemementos.com allows you to create a truly personalized gift. By recording a specially chosen book for your grandchild, you can create something that will last a lifetime. Anytime they want to hear your voice, all the grandchildren need to do is play back the recording. Take it from me, creating a recorded book on Make Mementos is super easy. You simply select the book you want to record, and then start recording your voice reading the book to your grandchild. Best of all, you can start out the book by recording a short 30-second video introduction. This is a fun way to say hello before you start reading your book. If you mess up recording one of the pages, don't worry about it. You can always re-record a page until you're satisfied. It only takes a few minutes to record, but you're creating a memory that will last a lifetime. Best of all, your recording can be passed down and shared with future generations. To start the process of recording your own family keepsake, go to makemementos.com/pages/thecoolgrandpa and get started today. If you missed the link, I will have it posted in the show notes and in the affiliate section of my website.
Do you also find it difficult to build up a meaningful relationship with your grandchildren at a distance? As a long-distance aunt to a 2-year-old in Australia, I wanted to create solutions for the millions of family members who cannot be physically together all the time. This is why I created Peekabond, an app that helps you to connect with young children at a distance. The app works with the following 3 steps. First, we give playful activities suggestions that are based on your child's development stage. These suggestions are science-based and gamified. Secondly, you can create a private family circle. And finally, we'll let you send videos back and forth so you don't have to be live at the same time, and save them in one spot for your grandchild to watch. We've got over 120 content suggestions. You can build a love bank for your grandchildren. And if you go to the Cool Grandpa website and look for the affiliate links, sign up for a newsletter with a lot of inspiring content, or you can try the app for free.
Welcome back to the Cool Grandpa Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me again this week. A couple of things before we get started is I wanted to let you know that I have started a membership site on Buy Me a Coffee. Now, Buy Me a Coffee, for those of you that don't know, is a membership site where it is possible to go on and do a one-time donation that would help me out with the podcast and as far as offsetting some of the expenses around publishing this podcast. If you want to go out and contribute a little bit, I would appreciate it. The website is buymeacoffee, all one word, .com/coolgrandpa. When you get to that page, you should see my logo as well as a picture of me out kayaking and having some fun on the river. Right now, it is just set up to do one-off contributions. I am looking to do a monthly subscription, and I could really use your help in figuring out what kind of bonus material would you appreciate if you were to sign up to be a monthly subscriber for the Cool Grandpa podcast. This could take the form of a special Zoom call that's just for the membership. It could be some kind of an enhanced newsletter. It could take the form of a couple of different things. So while I'm thinking about what I want to offer, I would also love to have your feedback on what you would enjoy and what would be meaningful for you. As an update on the book, I've gotten the book, the proof. I've looked that over. I've worked with the team, and we are going to press with the book. I'm hoping to be able to receive the first order of books hopefully in the next month and a half or so. I am planning after that to have an actual little launch party here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. So if you're interested in attending that, please shoot me an email. Let me know. Give me a phone call or shoot me a text if you have my number. I will be planning to put this out onto Amazon, also on my website, and then I'm hoping to get this into a few different bookstores. As distribution comes around, as I can update you on where you can find this book, where you can preview it, I will be sure to let you know. Today's guest is Dr. Marsha McLean. Now, Marsha and I have gotten to know each other over the last few weeks because we've reached out to each other based on both of us being recommended as a top resource for grandparents by Grand Magazine. You are really going to enjoy this conversation I have with Dr. McLean. She is on a mission to redefine what this role of grandma is all about and how that fits in with an active, healthy lifestyle. So, without further ado, let's jump into this conversation. Hello, and welcome to the Cool Grandpa Podcast. This is your host, Greg Payne, coming at you from Studio 12. This podcast is about being the best possible grandpa you can be, focusing on what it is to be a grandpa and how we can all share that experience together for our grandchildren. Hi, Dr. Marsha McLean. Welcome to the Cool Grandpa Podcast. I'm excited to have this conversation with you and learn all about Grandmas 2.0.
And I'm excited to tell you all about Grandmas 2.0 too. So glad we're on the same page.
Now, one of the things as we get started in our conversation, I just want to let everybody know about is that you and I were recently honored by Grand Magazine as being a top resource for grandparents. And not only were we part of maybe 20 people and resources, but we're actually next door neighbors on the spread itself. And so this has been great getting to know you and getting to know Grandmas 2.0. So that's why I'm excited that we reached out and we connected and we can share our resources with our groups. This is going to be a great conversation. So grandpas, I want you listening up because there's a lot of resources here that you may want to pass on to that grandma that's in your life and help her out to be the best that she can be.
Yes. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that wholeheartedly. I really do. So let's jump into it.
Yeah.
You tell me where you want us to go first.
Okay. So one of the things that I always ask the grandpas, and I've started asking the grandmas, is take me back to that moment in time when you first found out that you were going to become a grandma, and set the stage, and what was the emotions and what was going on with all that good news?
Well, to be quite frank, I didn't think it was good news at first. I had mixed feelings. I'll put it that way. I had mixed feelings. Here's why. My son was in college. And of course, our goal was for him to get into college, persist through college, graduate, get a job, all that kind of stuff, then have a family. So, he threw a little curveball in there, whose name is Cameron. And when it was so funny because when they told me, I'm like, well, he's not going to call me grandma. And you know why I said that? And this is the reason why I started Grandmas 2.0. I said that because society's image, I guess, or of what grandmas are, used to be this old woman sitting on a porch. And can I be frank,
yes.
Greg?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Adults only, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So with this women sitting on the porch, maybe kids around, in a moo-moo kind of thing, right? And I was like, that is not going to be me. I refuse. So I said, he's going to have to call me Grand Diva. Okay. Let's see how many syllables that is. Grand Diva. That's like 3 syllables. Babies can't do that usually, right? So,
right.
So that's what I said at first. But just like most people, when they hear about them being a grandma, they automatically we go to this vision in our heads of old. And nobody wants to be old. And I'm of the baby boomer generation. We do not want to be old. We were like, no, the devil is the lie. We will not be old. So that's the reason why, I was a little bit taken aback. I had mixed feelings. I absolutely adore children. I've always loved children. When my friends had children, I would, babysit their children, help them with their children. my background, my educational background is in early childhood. So I love children, but I just thought, oh God, I don't know if I'm ready to be a grandma. Now, mind you, I was of grandma age because according to AARP, grandmas range in age from 38 and up. The youngest grandma might be 38, but the rest of them up. And I think the average age is probably somewhere about 60, between 50 and 60 somewhere. We're called seniors once we hit that 55 mark.
Yep.
Right. And so that's usually around the grandma age. And I wasn't there yet. So I was right at the cups of that. And so I was a little bit, I'm like, okay, no, I'm not ready for that yet. So my idea was let's have him call me Grand Diva because I'm nobody's grandma. Okay. I'm too much of a diva to be a grandma. So that was my thoughts about it. And that was why I was like, oh no, resisting it. However, of course, that changed, immediately. And then the first time I saw that baby, I fell in love with him and still love him, even, of course, today, even more. Sometimes I even have lunch with him. He's now a young adult. And I'm not telling my age on here, so don't even try to get me to do that, Greg. So you will not get me that. You could twist my arm, you could ask for Social Security number. I'll tell that first. No, I'm joking. But anyway, but no, seriously. So we hang out. As a matter of fact, we're going to my college homecoming in a couple of weeks. So now that he's a young adult, of course, we do adult things together. We hang out, we have lunch or something like that. We just talk. And now this baby, this young man, when he was a baby, I would, walk down the street with him, let him pick up rocks, let him pick up things. We talk about it. We come back. We'd write a story about it. That's the kind of thing that we did. So again, that was a shock to me, but I decided that, what can I do? There's nothing I could do about it but embrace it. So that's what I did. And the reason was, though, because of the stigma that we have in society about grandmas. And so that actually was the reason why I created Grandmas 2.0.
Oh, I love it. And I really appreciate your honesty about, hey, this was a mixed bag here, because it's one of those like, hey, I want to be a grandparent at some point, but right now it's not the great,
Right. That is not my plan. Right.
Right. No, so I do appreciate that because we also get grandfathers that are like, and I was kind of in that boat a little bit where it was like, wait, I'm way too young for this.
Right. Right.
What are you trying to do? Make me old? And
exactly. So no one wants to get old. So that was why I kind of resisted it. But it's so funny. And I told him that story, I said, Kim, do you remember when I used to try to get you to call me Grand Diva? He looked at me and laughed. And I said, Kim, now remember, if anybody asks you, how old is grandma? 26. Say it with me. Grandma is 26. Still today, I tell them that.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Anyway.
Now, one of the things that I loved about in your about section and the background that I was doing on you is that you and your husband do a grand trip with the grandchildren about once a year, and you go out, and maybe I'd love to have you talk a little bit about that experience because my grandchildren are still way too young for us to attempt anything like that. The oldest one being 4, the youngest one is now like 6 or 7 months. So Mama's not going to let them out of her sight for that long at this point.
Right.
A couple of more years, she'll be ready to kick them out the door.
Oh, yes. Please take them. How long you want them?
Right.
So we've been doing that now about, how long have we been doing it? I don't know. Let's see. I want to say about... So the youngest grandchild is 7 months, and he actually went with us on this trip, which was surprising because nobody usually lets us take him, like you say, at that age. Not 7 months, but our 7th grandchild is 14 months actually, and he was back in the summer he was just about a year when we took our trip, just a little bit over a year. He was already walking and, of course, trying to verbalize and all those things. And everybody, because everybody is so big now, they love to hang around with the little ones, But when we initially started doing that, I think the youngest grandchild at that time was probably around 5. And so we took our first trip. I think we either went to North Carolina to my mom's, or we went to DC. My trips kind of mixed up. But anyway, sometimes I have those senior moments. Anyway, but we've done a lot of those trips, maybe 6 or 7 of those trips. And I actually love them because it gives us an opportunity to hang out with the kids, just the kids, right? We allow them to, they bring their, what is the thing now? The PS4s or whatever those things are, the Xboxes and all that
Right.
for the older ones. We take them to the grocery store. They get to pick whatever snacks they want, whatever ice cream they want for the week. We do an Airbnb kind of thing, right? And I cook breakfast for them. I make pancakes. Diets are off. There's nothing we eat all the bad foods that we're supposed to eat when when you're hanging out with your grandparents. I do. It's so funny because the youngest granddaughter, she's now 10, and she's like my assistant. So I say, Tatiana, go ask the rest of them what they want for breakfast, and then I'll make everybody's menu, whatever they want. We do omelets, we do pancakes, all this kind of thing. And then I'll take them to the store. They buy whatever they want, the cookies, the candies, whatever. I force them to get some fruit and all those things, but the staples. But I allow them to get their own snack, and they can get a whole pack of it that they don't have to share with anyone. They don't do this at home. And there's 2 different sets of them, right?
Right.
So one son has 2 children, my other son has 4, and now my daughter, who's the youngest, she has 1 child, and she just, like I said, had her first child and last year. So it's really interesting about that trip. And we try to go places. Like in the beginning, we would decide where we would go with them.
Okay.
But as they've gotten older, we want them to be a part of the decision making. So we say to them, okay, so what do you guys want to do this year? And we do it in advance. And then we get the Airbnb, we make all the arrangements, whatever. We all jump in the big SUV and go together. And, and they're typical children. They're arguing about this and they're arguing about that. So all of that happens. And my husband and I, we just laugh at it because, of course, we miss this with our own children doing that kind of stuff when they were younger. So for us, it just brings us so much joy. One year we went to Hershey, Pennsylvania, to the Hershey factory place, an amusement park. They liked that, and we walked around, and we went to the different where they were making the candies and all that kind of stuff. But we have a good time with them. They look forward to it. The 2 that are the oldest, we took them one year. We separated the groups, right? And we did 1 week with the younger ones, and then we did another week with the older ones, and we took them on college visits.
Okay.
Just so they would have their own thing that they did, and then we took them shopping for school and things like that. So we try to kind of customize it, for them, for what they want to do. In the beginning, of course, like I said, we did all the decision making, but then it's important, I think, for them to know how to make those kind of decisions. And we tell them, now this is what it's going to cost, because that's important too, that they know this will cost money. This year we did something totally different. We went to Rehoboth Beach in Delaware, and we said there are all these outlet malls there. So we said we'll go to the outlet malls, we'll do some other things. And while we're at the outlet malls, you guys can shop. We're giving each person a budget. You have to stay within your budget. That was interesting. That was really it. But, ahead of time, we did all that. And we, these kids these days, they have Cash App and these things. So they were able to manage their own money. And my kids were like, I can't believe y'all are doing this. I'm like, it's important to know how to manage money. So these are life lessons that we're teaching them. We're having fun doing it. But these are life lessons. And, being an educator, those are the kind of things that I always do with my grandkids. I'm all about teaching them, but I want to do it in a fun way, a real life way, so that they can gain some skills from it. So.
Oh, I love it because, I kind of view it the same way in that, as they're getting older, they can start to appreciate, hey, this Airbnb is $1,000 for the week, and it's not to put a guilt trip or anything, but it's to help educate them like, hey, this lifestyle and what we've got, this isn't free. This is worked on and earned. And then with the budget for going around with the outlet malls, they've got to make the decision. Do I really want that shirt or do I want these jeans? Because I can't do both.
Right.
And it puts that decision and that ownership on them for their
Mm-hmm.
decisions. So I absolutely love that idea.
And I do the same thing at the holiday for Christmas. Instead of me buying them what I think they should have, I have them make a list. Oh, they're really good at this. One time, it was so funny. One of my grandsons had a list, and I said, "Okay, now I want you to total it up. I want you to look in the catalog, go online, whatever." The list was $2,000. I said, "Now you know I'm not getting you all that right." But the point was, I wanted them to know this stuff is not free. This stuff is not cheap, and there's 6 of you, so keep that in mind as well.
Right.
And so again, another life lesson, because I think that that's really important that children understand economics.
Oh, absolutely. I think,
Yes, definitely.
We see so many people get into trouble as they leave the house because they don't understand, what things really cost and translate that cost into working time, right? Like,
yes.
oh, I've got to have a job that pays this much for these many hours. And, if you're going down that route, some people go
Yes.
into self-employment and entrepreneurship right away. A lot of us don't. We start working for somebody to get that experience.
Right.
So,
exactly right.
I mean,
So.
I just love it. That's great. Now, Marsha, I wanted to ask you about this Grandma's 2.0, and we talked a little bit about it, but what really prompted you to start Grandma's 2.0 and get this organization, this movement up off the ground?
Well, again, it was my own mixed feelings about being a grandma and how I feel like. So, and these are just my own feelings, and I like to say, as an educator, this is my own theory, no one else's. But I felt some kind of way, or felt like, oh God, this means I'm getting old, or this means I'm old, or what? And then people would say to me, well, you don't look like a grandma. And I'm like, well, what does a grandma look like? And you don't act like a grandma, so what does a grandma act like? My grandkids say, oh, you're so much fun, grandma, that sort of thing. And but because people said that, and I started thinking, so we have this idea, this image of what we think grandmas are supposed to look like, and I know I said that earlier, so I won't repeat that, but that image kind of causes other people to kind of judge us when we do something different. That's not you don't look like a grandma. What are you doing over? You don't act like her. You can't be a grandma. And I'm like, yeah, I am. I have 6 grandchildren. No way. I'm like, yeah. And so I thought, well, you know what? Why don't there's probably a lot of other people out here like me who just refuse to be that image that we find on the internet. Because the thing is, I started looking around on the internet to see if there were other groups that were grandma groups, right? Or images of people when I was building my website. And all the images were nothing like my idea of what a grandma was. And so recently I did a podcast with Gregory Ann Cox. Her organization is called Rebellious Wellness.
Okay.
And it's really interesting because she's like, I think she focuses on the 50 plus. And I think it's just women. But she was saying today's grandma is unapologetically themselves. So that's kind of what we're talking about here. It's like, you can be whoever you want to be, what you want to be, just because you grandma, that's just another role. We're a wife, most of us as women, sometimes we're wives, we are mothers, and those are different roles. Grandma's a totally different role, but that's a role that you can design yourself. And that's how I see it. And so that's why I came up with this idea of redefining it and redesigning it. So what is it that I really want to be as a grandma? And I've in my research, and as I've been doing this work, and let me tell you this, I had this idea maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, maybe a year or so before COVID. But when COVID happened, it gave me a chance to sit down and relax a little bit and really think about it. And then I started doing these events, these Zoom events, right, with grandmas. And it has been very rewarding because there are a lot of people out there that see themselves in that traditional grandma's role. And then there's a lot of us out there that see us as the 2.0 version, okay? And so, people like Jada Pinkett Smith's mom, her name is Adrienne Banfield Jones. She was on Instagram in a 2-piece bikini What grandma do you know with two-piece bikini, right? Okay, so but she had the physique to pull it off. Okay,
Okay.
now
Okay.
I don't recommend everybody do that, but she had the physique to pull it off. Anyway, and then you have like the Kardashian, Kris Kardashian mom, who's a grandma who is like world renowned, who's a businesswoman, very savvy, and is still and she's a grandma, but she's still doing all these things, right? Then there's someone like a Beyonce's mom. Her name is Tina Knowles Lawson. She got remarried. She was a grandma to a younger man, by the way, a very handsome man, by the way.
All right.
So there's still hope for grandmas and but those women kind of intrigued me, and it made me think about what is the average grandma doing? Those are celebrity grandmas, but what is the average grandma doing? And for the most part, most of the average grandmas, there's a lot of them out there that are maybe the 2.0 version, but there's a lot of them that just kind of take this role on, the role that society plays on us, and that's who we are. I was at an event in Charlotte, North Carolina it was around Labor Day weekend, and it was a sports event, college football game. And so I was on the elevator with a woman, and she said, I said to her, so what school are you with? And she said, oh, I'm with the other school, which was our arch rival. And I said, well, I won't hold that against you, right? And I said, well, I'm with the other school. I said, it's North Carolina Central University. And I said, but so are you going to the game? She said, no, I can't. I'm a grandma, so I came to babysit. I'm like, girl, I can't believe you did that. And I said, but why? She said, well, they asked me and I thought, okay, I'll do it. And I said, oh, okay. And I didn't want to, kind of tell her, no, if I were you, I would do that. I would never do that to anyone. But I said to her, I said, oh, look, I said, I have a grandma's group. I want to give you one of my cards. And so maybe sometimes you can join us on some of the events. Because my theory is that, you be who you want to be. I just choose not to be your typical grandma. But everybody else can do whatever they want to do. I believe there's a tribe out there that's, connected with me. And those are the folks that I'm looking for, right? But then everybody may not be suited for that. One day I was renting a car, and this girl said to me, I was giving her my information, and she said, and I gave her my card with my phone number. She said, oh, my mom needs that. She said, because all she does is sit around the house.
Oh,
so there's a lot of people that are not living their life to the fullest. And this movement is really about that. It's about living your life to the fullest, unapologetically being whoever you choose to be.
right.
And I think this is the time for that, because I think globally, we've taken a turn in the last, 10, 15 years, and people are being themselves. They're not pretending to be someone that they're not, and that sort of thing. Like society says, well, you can't do this. So I think it's time for grandmas to do the same thing.
Okay. So, so it sounds like you're not necessarily trying to blow up the idea of grandma and completely redefine it. But what you're saying is, hey, you're a grandma, love being a grandma, but live your life to the fullest. However however you define that. And
yes,
you know what?
You get to decide it, though. You get to define it. No one else. And that's the thing. Because again, society says grandmas do this, grandmas do that. Well, who said so? Why?
Right. Because I went back and I read one of your blog posts from April, the one that's talking about living in fear and living fearlessly. And I love that, because on the grandpa side, this happens too, is when we become grandpas. And I think it may be part of the aging process in general, but as we become grandparents, I think there's this idea of pull back, play it safe, be in an older role, like you were saying, get rid of the fancy dresses and stuff, grab the moo-moos, get the porch chair, granddad start dressing, like slobs or whatever, and I loved it, because it's like, no. Because you've got grand divas out there. You've got women that are still exploring career opportunities, that are shifting careers maybe, because they're now empty nesters. And you can do all this stuff and still be that grandma that wants to FaceTime with the grandkids, that wants to babysit, that wants to do the grand trips, all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So that is
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Mm-hmm. 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 And the other part of that is, I think grandmas need to be honored and revered, because, we've raised our own children. We usually support and help our children raise their children in some way. It could be just in guidance. It can be financially, it can be all of those things, right? It could be, coaching and supporting. Yeah, yeah, you can do this, you can do this, that sort of thing. But all of those things, but you can still be who you are. I mean, I have met some phenomenal women that are doing some wonderful things at this stage in their lives. It's incredible. I mean, I've been blown away with the things that women are doing. And so, I'd love to share that with you as well, because I think it's very fascinating.
Yeah, and I definitely we're going to be putting links to Grandma's 2.0, your Instagram, all that kind of stuff into the show notes. So folks, if you're out
Okay.
driving, walking, whatever, make sure you get to the show notes and get those links so that you can follow these women and you can follow and get inspired by them and find your tribe, so to speak. And and realize, like, if you're feeling like you've got to pull back and you've got to settle down, let's say, because you're a grandma, no, you don't have to. There's a whole bunch of women out there that are getting stuff done, and there's a whole group out there waiting to support you. And
Yes.
along those lines, what kind of services and products does Grandma's 2.0 have to offer these women?
Well, we have several services, not lots, but several services. So one of those services is we have coaching services. We also have a membership. So our memberships range in price. Of course, we have a free membership where you just get to see our Instagram and our Facebook pages, and then you see our blog on our website. Then, if you want a little bit more, we do a monthly newsletter as well, where we send out. We do a gorgeous grandma event annually. So that is the next level. That's a bronze level. Then we have a silver level, which that level of membership, you get all of the above, plus you get a one-on-one kind of coaching session, right? You get a free consultation to that. And then the silver level, you actually get a little more. So each level, you get a little more in your of services that we provide. But the ultimate package is that gold package, which will provide you with some one-on-one coaching. Because the what I found is there are a lot of women out there that are a little bit afraid of being who they really are deep down inside. Because I know for myself, as a fact, I have three children, and when my youngest child, my daughter, went off to college, I decided that was my time to go back to school. That's when I worked on my doctorate. While she was in college, I was in college too. And empty nesting and all of that. And so I said, this is perfect. This is the time for me to do some things for myself. And that's when I started the way I like to refer to it is reinventing myself. And I remember I I took a leave of absence. I didn't totally quit my job. I took a leave of absence. And my coworker said, I can't believe you're doing this. You sure are brave. That's the thing. And I said, well, no, this is something that I've always wanted to do. And this is the perfect time. My husband is retired military. And he was in the Navy. And because he was in the Navy, that meant he was gone a lot, 6 months at the time and things like that. So I was pretty much single parenting quite a bit, because when he was gone, I mean, it was just me. And so I felt like at that time in my life, I could finally do something for myself. And so that's what I did. And, again, women are doing all sorts of things, but there are women that may need coaching around that sort of thing. Okay, I'm getting ready to reinvent myself. What does that look like? I'm afraid, and sometimes you need a coach on the sidelines to help you with that. I have a coaching certificate that I earned, and then of course I've been coaching in my profession in education, and so I've just kind of transferred that to working with adults as well. And so, in addition to the membership, we have coaching that we provide, one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching. And in addition to that, what we're working on right now, like I said, we had a gorgeous grandma of 2022. So we do that campaign every year. We just did our second year. So we're coming up for our third year in 2023. And we have women, not just in the United States, but internationally that joined us this past year. So this thing is getting traction. It's really, like I said, like you said, and I agree, it's a movement. It really is. And so those are just some of the things that we provide. And then as far as products, we did our first book last year and we interviewed grandmas as a part of that book. And the book is called Stories of Motivation, Inspiration, and Life Lessons for Grandmas. And there's different stories of different grandmas in that book. It's a compilation of different grandmas. And I like to call it like the who's who of grandmas. You know how in high school we did the who's who of the yearbook
Right.
and that sort of thing. Yeah. So it's that same kind of philosophy. You have everyone gets to tell their stories. We come up with some questions, and then we ask them about their philosophy. How they feel about being a grandma, for example. This year we're doing something a little differently with our interviews. We are doing our interviews on Zoom so that we can capture and use some of that for our content as well. And then we're in the process of writing this book and right now. And the first book we had 12 grandmas, I think it was. This time we have 30, and so far we're about halfway there with the interviews. And so this takes a lot of time and energy to do this, but I think these stories need to be told. Because like I said, grandmas are doing some phenomenal things out there. And I think it inspires other grandmas to do. And that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah,
That's what I'm hoping.
I think you're right, because if I'm somebody that's coming into a group or I'm looking to change things up in my life or whatnot, if I'm hearing somebody else has already walked that path and might be, even if they're a step or two ahead of me, but if I hear their story a little bit, okay, that encourages me. That gives me permission at some level to go ahead and take that step. So I think that's really powerful, capturing those stories.
And these ladies are loving to tell their stories. It has been phenomenal. It really has. It's been very, like I said, very powerful. We have one grandma who I don't know if she said she always wanted to do this, but she is an actress, right? She left her job. She decided she wanted to go to film school. She has now been in a couple of TV shows, and she's working on a book, creating a film around that book.
Wow.
Right. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
We have another grandma who is an artist, and she said she didn't know that she was an artist. And when she was taking care of one of her siblings, she said she's the youngest in her family of maybe 10, 12 children. And she said she was taking care of one of her older siblings, and she just started painting. She is now selling her artwork, and she has a gallery. And she's like, wow. I never knew I could do this. That is so powerful.
Yeah, that's a Grandma Moses story.
Similar, right, that's beautiful.
Right. That's somebody that's discovering that talent in a later season of their life.
Yes. And so that's why I believe it's never too late to pursue your dreams, even if you had to defer your dreams because of, you got married, you had children, or whatever reason.
Right.
If you had to defer your dream, it's never too late to pick those dreams back up or even get a new dream. Yeah. I mean, people are doing some powerful things out here. And so, those are the stories that we want to share.
Well, that sounds awesome. How can grandfathers and spouses support their wives in becoming a grandma 2.0? And I'm also going to caveat this with, what are some things that we shouldn't say to the grandmas and spouses? Because turning around and going, hey, I think you could be better and you could be a grandma 2.0 is likely to get me slugged.
Right. So this gentleman at work said to me one time, he said, I wish my wife would dress like you. And I'm like, so now what does that mean? Because that's kind of a loaded statement, right?
Yeah.
Because my personality and my fashion style may be totally different than your wife, and maybe she doesn't feel comfortable dressing with. So, my thing is, and what I would advise is allow people to be who they are. That's the number one thing. Sometimes in relationships, for whatever reason, women are held back from being their true selves. And so I think that's the main thing that grandpas can do for grandmas is allow them to be whomever they want to be. And then support them in any way that they can. Encourage them, be a cheerleader for them, so to speak. So, for example, if like I said to my husband, I said, "Oh, I have a." He was kind of teasing me. He said, "Oh, you have a show tonight?" And I said, "Yes, I have a show tonight." And I said, "Yeah," and I said something about because Grandma's 2.0 is something. And he was like, and he looked at me really weird, as if to say, "What are you talking about?" Because he knows that I've been on this path for a while, right?
Right.
And I'm always talking about Grandma's 2.0, and I say, "Well, 2.0 Grandma wouldn't do it that way." And so maybe he's probably getting a little frustrated and like over me saying it all the time. But again, and I say to him, you need to support me in this. This is something that I want to do. So again, I think just like if it was him doing Grandpa's 2.0, I would be cheering. I'm like, oh my God, that's a great idea. I'd be cheering him on, and to make sure that. And then is there anything that I can do to help you with that? So I think that would be the best thing for if a grandpa wanted to really, provide that support, and then help them with the things. So maybe they're good at something and they can say, oh, well, at work, I used to do that. Maybe I can help you build that set. Maybe I can videotape you as you're doing your podcast or whatever the situation is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it definitely reminded me, and I hope my wife Karen doesn't beat me too bad, but it reminds me a little bit of that we all need this, right? So grandpas need this,
Yes.
grandmas need this, in that when we have our kids are becoming teenagers and they're exploring, right? That as we've got kids that have moved out, they're now having kids of their own, and we're trying to figure out who we are. What is this next phase?
Right.
And
it's
being
the next chapter.
that
Yes.
encouragement, because maybe grandma tries something, figures out that she doesn't like it. She picks up oil painting for a little bit, and then it's like, that's not me. Keep encouraging the exploration is what I'm hearing, right?
Yes. I always say that, toddlers and teenagers and seniors are alike. They love exploring, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Toddlers love to explore, teenagers love to explore, and so do seniors. We want to see what else we can do because, and I'm speaking from a personal level. I'm not ready for my life to be over. I'm not ready to just sit down and not do anything. I want to be active. I work out. I want to go places. I want to see things. I want to travel. I want to do all of these things that when I had my children at home, I may not have been able to do all of those things because, of course, number one priority was them. But now it's my time to do these things that I've always wanted to do.
Right.
And so as the grandpa, you need to be encouraging and supporting and come on the trips with me or whatever the situation might be.
Yeah. And, what I'm hearing too is that this Grandma 2.0 is also a way to make sure that, I'm using this analogy, making sure your cup is full so that you can pour it into your children and your grandchildren.
Yes.
Because if you're exhausted, if you're incomplete, if you've hung it up, you don't have.
If you're sad, you're depressed, exactly.
You don't have anything to give.
That's right.
And and I use that model with the cool grandpas. When people go, well, what's a cool grandpa? I'm like, a cool grandpa is somebody that takes care of themselves, somebody that's growing, somebody that's trying different things, and is building themselves up so they can build up the family and the community. Because if we're like we said, I don't mean to go round and round, but if we're empty, we've got nothing to offer.
Right. And I forgot to mention one other product or service that we do is we offer a virtual workout.
Okay.
So 3 days a week, grandmas only, right? And we do something, we focus on functional exercises, which is exercise that would help you with your daily life. knowing how to walk up the stairs. Because when you're younger, you can run up the stairs. When you get a little older, you're not running. You're taking one step at a time,
Yep.
right? That sort of thing. And we have a young lady. Her company is called Built by Blanca, and she is a kinesiologist and a physical therapist assistant, I think is what her, those acronyms after your name. But she is very good at working with us and encouraging and showing us, demonstrating how to do the exercises and that sort of. And the beauty of what she does is she tells us, so you'll need this when you or do this, like when you play with your grandchild on the floor, you need to be able to get up off the floor. So let me show you how to do it so you don't hurt yourself and that sort of thing. I mean, and I love it because with the 1 year old who likes for you to chase him around the house or whatever, or you want to get down on his level, that's important. You want to be able to squat down. We do squat. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, and she calls it functional exercising, and so it has really paid off for me. And then of course I do some other things as well. Other than that, I do Pilates and some other things, but I want to make sure that I don't want to be one of those grandma who has to take medicine and there's nothing wrong with that. That's where you are. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't want to be that grandma
Right. Right.
or not able to tie my shoes or put my shoes on. I don't want to be that grandma.
Well, there's definitely a use it or lose it, part of this aging process of,
Yes.
if you're not doing stairs or walking up a trail or doing some of these things, your body just, it doesn't have to do that anymore. So when the time comes to actually do it, it's like your body's rebelling and it's going, hey,
right. It's like, no, we're not doing that. No, all of a sudden, are you doing that?
Right. Right. What do you think? We're back 26?
I know, right? I know. That's so funny. But yeah, the body will resist if you don't, if you don't use it. That's exactly right. I agree with you. So this has been a phenomenal ride for me. I think it's my life purpose. I didn't realize that. I thought my life purpose was like I said, I don't know if I said this earlier, but I'm a college professor. So I thought that was my life purpose. And I enjoy doing that. But this has given me so much joy. It's been so amazing to just revel in the fact that grandmas are really doing it.
Yeah.
They are doing some phenomenal things out there, and being the one to share this with others, it's been really very rewarding for me. Very rewarding. So
yeah, I'm loving it, and I can hear the passion that you have in the conversation, and obviously while you and I are seeing each other on Zoom. So, Marsha, I've had you on for a while. Is there anything about Grandma's 2.0 that you would like to talk about that maybe I haven't asked you or we haven't discussed?
let's see. So we've talked about, let me kind of run through my head here. We've talked about support from spouses. We've talked about, well, one thing I do want to say, our mission, it's really focusing on, like we said earlier, redefining, redesigning, and then realigning your life. But there's something that recently I've been thinking about a lot. It's called this 8 dimensions of wellness. And it really focuses on, this holistic approach. So you have to be well physically, right? You have to be well mentally. You have to be well spiritually. You have to be well emotionally, as well. And then in your whatever your occupation is, if it's retired, semi-retired, even if it's volunteer, you need to be well in all these areas. And so at Grandma's 2.0, we focus not just on the health and wellness aspect of it, we also focus on like financial wellness as well. So we want to encourage and kind of promote and foster this knowledge about financial literacy, because as grandparents we want to be able to leave that legacy, not necessarily in money. If we have that, that's fine too, but in knowledge as well, sharing that with the next generation so that they will be able to understand, like the example I gave earlier about the grand trip and allowing them to spend and budget their money themselves. But those things are really important. for a legacy, leaving a legacy for your grandchildren. And the other thing about the wellness is we want to be in good mental health, and so being physically well will help with the mental health as well, or also. So I think that's important too. And so I've really been focusing a lot on those and trying to make sure that the activities, the events that we have really are centered around those things, because it's a holistic approach. It's not just about fashion, it's not just about working out, but it's really about wellness. And through this aging process that we can't do anything about, as far as we know, we're going to get older and numerically,
Mm-hmm.
but how you do it is what's important.
Right.
You can sit and wait for it to happen, or you can actually do something. You can prevent it. Prevent it as much as you can by doing the things that you need to do and being well. And so that's one of the things that we're focusing on in our mission. And I just applied for nonprofit status. So I'm going to start doing some things for grandparents that are raising their grandkids, because I think that's a population, and I really want to focus on the grandmas who are doing that. I did a little research, and there are, oh my God, so many families, grandmas alone, that are raising grandchildren.
Right.
So I want to do some things for them to kind of support them in those areas as well. And so the nonprofit is going to focus on that. And then we are thinking about and working towards maybe doing a grandma's pageant.
Oh, that'd be
So
fun.
yeah, so just doing some different things, because who says a grandma can't be a beauty queen too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So doing some things like that. So those are things that are coming up that we're focusing on and planning right now. Because again, I think grandmas are phenomenal. I think they need to be honored and revered. And I would love to see not just husbands, but children and others supporting grandmas as well, because I think, we've supported everybody. So again, it's our turn now. It's our time now. So I really believe that, and I want us to focus on that moving forward.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Now, Marsha, I'm going to put links into the show notes and things, but quickly, how can people connect with you and find you, and
Okay.
where's all your socials at?
Okay, so we have a website. It's Grandma's 2.0, and because I don't know what you call it with the how you do your website. There's a term, I'm sure. I'm not a techie, so I don't know that term. But it's the word grandmas and then the number two, the word point, and 0.com.
Okay.
So grandmas2.0.com. That's the website, and you'll find all of our information there. Then if you scroll down to the bottom of the website, you'll find our social links there. So we are on Facebook. It's at the 2.0 grandma. So at THE 2.0 grandma. And then same thing for Instagram at the 2.0 grandma. We are also on YouTube as well, and we have events that we've done that are physically there, and all the events that we do. The Gorgeous Grandma's Day. Did you know there was a National Gorgeous Grandma Day?
I did not.
There is, July 23rd.
Okay.
So you know that organization, national, they do all the
Yeah, they
national
do.
days.
Right.
Yes, so they devoted July 23rd to National Gorgeous Grandma's Day.
Oh,
And
nice.
so that's when we have our event, our Gorgeous Grandmas every year. So this, like I said, we're going into our third year doing that. But yeah, so that's another thing that we do. And on our website, we have, let's see, YouTube. We don't have a Twitter page yet, but we have everything else. We even have Pinterest.
Okay. And like I said,
Mhm.
we'll be sure to put links to those as well in the show
Yes.
notes. Make it easy as we can for folks.
Yes. Thank you. But please check us out. See what the grandmas are up to, and see how you can support your grandma, the grandma in your life. Please do that for us. We're doing some wonderful things. We are going to continue to work on, just helping grandmas redefine who they are.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Well, Marsha, I really appreciate having you on the Cool Grandpa podcast. And this has been a fantastic and educational experience, as well as just having fun connecting with you and
Yes,
learning about
thank
this.
you, Greg. I really appreciate it.
Wow, what a fun conversation with Dr. Marsha McLean. I really enjoyed learning how she came about developing Grandma's 2.0. And I especially love the story about being Grandma Diva. Be sure to go over and check out her site. I've got the link in the show notes, but in case you need to hear it again, it is grandmas 2, the word point, 0.com, and that will take you to Grandma's 2.0. I also want you to remember too, the 48 Days community that I talked about is going to be closing the doors for new membership soon. So if it sounds like something you want to join, be sure to click on that link in the show notes. Go over there and get involved in that community. I'd be happy to see you over there. And until next time, remember to stay cool. Thank you for listening to the Cool Grandpa podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor and share it with a friend. That's the best way you can help us to expand our community, as well as get the news out about how valuable grandpas are in the lives of those kids. If you'd like to leave me a comment or shoot me a potential topic for this podcast, please go to www.cool-grandpa.us. Look for the comments tab, fill it out, hit submit. It's as easy as that. Until next time, remember to stay cool.